Welcome to SF Liberal Buzz. I'm Denise Dory. Follow me on Twitter. Give me a follow, I'll follow you back. We are liberals, and liberals stands for civil rights, really. And one civil right is medical cannabis and hemp. So that's why we're here. We're in a compassionate cannabis community, which believes in low or no cost cannabis to most people.
To most people who cannot afford it, yes.
Yes. And there's a lot of ways to do it. There's a whole bunch of laws that are being proposed for 2016, as well as Senate. They're on the Senate level, the local level, state level. Although, so we're going to try and cover as much of that as we can in a very short time. This is Shona Gokenauer, the educational director of Axis of Love, which is an organization. Compassion plus action equals
Life.
And I'm Denise Dory, your host. Now, I've got some questions for you.
Okay.
This is a call-in show, 861-6648. Right here is the number to call if you want to have a question. We're talking there now. The Senate is talking about Schedule 2.
Correct.
Schedule 2 doesn't necessarily eliminate jail time or decriminalize anything.
No, you're right, Denise. It does not eliminate jail time. It will actually increase the jail time in the states that are not medical cannabis states. While there's a lot that's beneficial about the CARES Act on the Senate floor, there's many things in it for the medical cannabis states. But when we're looking at the federal level, we should be looking at making sure that nobody does jail time, even if their state is not progressive enough. So Schedule 2 basically only makes it legal to be in the hands of FDA-approved researchers. So if you're in a state and you're caught with cannabis, whether, it's a small amount or a large amount, you'll face more penalties and stricter and longer jail terms. So my theory on this is that we've won the drug war and we don't have to concede to this. We need to get this good law even better, especially for the states that don't have medical cannabis laws yet. We don't want those sick people to face more jail time for making their own medicine and healing their lives. That makes no sense.
Well, it's our Herb, and Herb seems to be smarter. She is smarter than the people trying to control her.
I agree. The plant is smarter than the people trying to control her. And it's sad because moving this substance to Schedule 2 makes no sense when the actual DEA scientists have said this is the least toxic herbal compound known to mankind. Why would we need such coveting of the non-medical cannabis states and make it, now so that you have freedom states and states that are more restrictive? The only person that benefits is the black market and organized crime. Let's be real.
And who is proposing the other law in California? Aren't they the police chiefs? I mean Rand Paul and Cory Booker proposed a Senate bill.
Correct.
That you just named.
Yes, the CARES Act. Yes.
So now this one Sawyer in California.
So Sawyer, we have 15 bills.
Oh.
It might even be 17 by the time I'm saying this.
Besides the initiatives of MCLR.
Well, those are voter initiatives, which I'd like to get into a little bit later. But in our actual government, on our assembly floor, we have literally 17 bills trying to get their sort of hands into the cannabis industry. And we have one that is organized by the police chiefs of California, which is AB 266. And then we also have another bill called AB 26, which is from the industry lobbyists. And both are very restrictive, and both will absolutely hurt the artisan grower, the low-income patient, the cottage grower, the small business owner or merchant. We have to be very careful with what we support.
So are you saying it's privatizing the herb in a way?
You could say it's sort of a gentrification and privatization of herbal medicine. Yeah, you
Sort of
could
like
say
the
that.
common. Well, we're losing the commons too. Common space, you know.
Public spaces.
Yes,
Oh yeah,
yes,
no,
we're
I
losing
don't
the
disagree.
commons. Libraries are privatized. I mean, it belongs to Bank of America now. So we've got a lot of privatization. Now that herb.
Right, and it's very dangerous because a lot of people rely on this for their health care. We're talking about health care, not just money.
And so out of these 17 bills, are they in California, all of them?
Right, the 17 bills that I'm
Or
talking about,
15?
it's probably 17 by the time we're talking, are on our assembly floor. So this is what the California districts are going to be looking at. But the sad thing is, and the thing that frustrates the community, is we have 3 now voter initiatives that are going to be coming up. So we don't want the solution through the assembly and in the Senate. We want to create the regulations and put that idea forth to the voters. We want to bypass the state houses.
So with MCLR, if they get something out before MCLR goes on the ballot, which it failed in 2014.
We didn't get on the ballot in 2014, that's correct. But this time it's a much better playing field for us to get onto the ballot. It's a bigger election year, higher voter turnout, you know.
And people are tired of privatization of all kinds. So if we can convince them that this is the 99% initiative, we could I think that's a winning combination.
Well,
because it's true.
The interesting thing and the most important thing about the initiative that I will soon be going to Sacramento to sign on to as a proponent is that we've done this open source. You can go to mclr.us and you can review the legislation that we've proposed. You can make commentary, you can make suggestions. And we actually, last week, they were saying, oh, now it's a 4-way tussle between, you know, all these different aspects of the cannabis community. But we have been actually at the table with top lawyer Omar Figueroa.
Well, there's the text on the screen, everybody, just so you know. That's the beginning of the text of MCLR. I pasted it, and in so doing, I altered the document.
That's okay, because it's all about altering the document. It's all about every person getting to weigh in before we close the language. And so this coming Tuesday at 12:30, we are going to be having a press conference right outside San Francisco City Hall. And we are going to be bringing to the general public version 2 of the MCLR for the public to review one more time before we go and turn it in to the Secretary of State. And the last time we turned in the MCLR to the Secretary of State, as you know, then the Attorney General reviews your title and gives it a summary. We got the best summary from our Attorney General, Kamala Harris. We got a really high compliments from the Office of the Legislator's Analyst. Said this is one of the best and pristine, organized legal language that we've seen from the cannabis community. And we hope this time to even get better reviews because we've incorporated so many attorneys, so many activists and growers' input. So we have the folks that have the hands-on and the folks that read the law coming to a compromise that's workable for everybody in California. And our danger really is having the lobbyists propose something that makes it so that only a small percentage of people will be able to cultivate in California.
That's what they want to control seed to sale.
Exactly.
Seed to sale.
I'm sorry, you had a few other questions.
That is very frightening. Actually, you were going quite well.
Bumbling along here.
Well, how about if we do have a uniform, are any of the laws uniform where how about if MCLR does go through, Can any city or county prohibit people growing?
That's a difficult
Is
question.
Is it uniform?
But we have a caller. I think that's what that light flashing means.
Hello, flashing light.
Oh, hi. No, it's just me, Frank, Psychic Frank. I just wanted to say thanks, Cheryl, for being there, and I won't take much of your time, but yeah, I was just thinking about all the money these lobbyists are being paid, so we're up against, and then you just mentioned it. I said, man, we're such a psychic connection, but yeah, it's important for people to know that these people are so afraid that they're going to not get the golden ring, and they're going to, and somehow the people are going to win, so, we're up against these trained lobbyists who that's their bread and butter, and they play dirty.
They play so dirty. Thank you for bringing that up,
Okay,
Frank.
I'm going to go and let you finish because I know your time is precious. I just want to say God bless you for what you're doing.
Thanks, Frank. And Frank's show can be seen every second and fourth Thursday on this channel at 5 o'clock. So tune into Frank next week, an hour earlier.
But Frank brought up an important point. The legislation that the lobbyists are backing is very limited. They play very dirty, and we are going up against big money. But I see that our camp embracing the Occupy movement, embracing the 99%, and this is a voter initiative that we're backing. So I think they're going to have quite a surprise when it comes to tallying the votes, because so many people have so much to lose. We have family farms that could go under.
Well, we voted down initiatives we didn't like. They thought, why
Yeah,
wouldn't people
let's
wanna
have them
legalize
remember.
cannabis? And
Let's
it's
have them
because-
remember
because
Prop
we were
19.
thinking. They think we were too spaced out to realize we were being taken for a ride. Oh, boy, legalize cannabis. Yep. Uh-huh.
Yeah, I mean, the lobbyists will say things like, well, as long as you use the word marijuana or cannabis in the title, all these stupid people will vote for it, and they won't even realize what they're voting for.
Well, Prop L got
Sorry, no, last round, we had a Prop 19, which was a very Monsanto-like based industrial thing that the cannabis community was able to vote down. So they need to remember that.
Yep, absolutely. So what about, let's talk about folk medicine being tied to some of this legislation. Like folk medicine, herbal folk medicine, and getting a recommendation is sort of ties into the legalities of herbal folk medicine and getting a recommendation from a doctor as opposed to a prescription from a doctor, and having the FDA get in and get their tentacles wrapped around the whole
Kit and caboodle.
well, actually the whole industry.
Absolutely. And this is the sneaky part of what they're doing at a national level. When you go to Schedule 2, that means you have to go through the FDA, and you have to actually have it prescribed from a doctor instead of recommended. So in all the medical cannabis states, what you have is not a prescription, but a recommendation. Just as your doctor would recommend, hey, maybe you should take a little more vitamin C or less vitamin D or what have you. And one thing that Patient Advocacy Network has always said that we need to keep the recommendation process, and we need a whole separate category. We need to be taken off the controlled substance
And
list.
declassified,
Declassified,
descheduled,
and decriminalized.
Let's talk about the Drug Policy Alliance for a second. They're drugpolicy.org is their website, and I'm not saying go there and support them. I'm just saying we've had some problems with them lately.
Yes.
Really.
We've had a huge problem with the DPA. What they are is sort of a government think tank. They might even be originated from that. But the problem with the DPA is that they support the alcohol beverage control, being the regulators of medical cannabis. Now, nobody is really debating for a recreational use, but for medical cannabis, we don't want that. And we can see the results of what happened in Washington State. What happened there just 2 weeks ago is their government voted to shut down all the medical facilities and only have the adult recreational facilities available to the public. That's exactly what we don't want. We don't want the ABC, The entire community has told Drug Policy Alliance, we don't want the ABC. And when I mean the entire community, I mean the lobbyists for even the big firms in California have said, this is problematic. We don't want this.
Give a brief history of the ABC. I mean, aren't they the most corrupt organization?
Well, if you even just Google California alcohol beverage control and corruption, it goes on for pages.
They pull raids and then steal things.
Talk to any restaurant owner, any bar owner about if they think the ABC of California is a good regulatory process for cannabis, and they will tell you absolutely not. It is the most unfair, bribery-orientated organization, and what seals the deal for me as it being corrupt is last time I was in the State House, when the police chiefs were going up against an ABC proposed regulatory system, they said, why would you want the most corrupt agency in California? This comes from law enforcement saying, why would you want the most corrupt organization doing the regulation? So it's not, a liberal perspective. It's a perspective of law enforcement,
Bipartisan.
patients,
Yeah.
business owners saying we don't want this, yet DPA feels that they're the Illuminati of us and they need to shove it down our throats.
Indeed. Well, now, do you think that the new law, the strains would be preserved? This is a really important issue to some people. Some people need certain strains.
Just like some people need to take certain herbal supplements to be able to digest food. There's people, the genetics of our California medicine is so specialized that if we don't have a way to record and preserve, much like France does wine, we're copying and coming together with Attorney Figueroa to just kind of take the template that France did to become the leaders of wine. We're taking that same template for cannabis and saying we want these cannabis genetics preserved. And we want to be able to say, this is this type of cannabis, this is this type of cannabis, and it originates from California, not from a grow room somewhere in Colorado.
Yeah, it's about the strains, really. Without the strains, what is it? It's just a lawn trimming to some people.
Well, right. If it doesn't help you eat and feel pain-free, and it just looks cosmetically correct and smells cosmetically correct, but isn't actually medicine, what are we doing?
So now let's talk about Senate Bill 420 and first explain to the viewers what Senate Bill 420 is and how it's different from Prop 215.
So a lot of people in California mistakenly think that Prop 215 gave us the right to grow cannabis together as patients. That's not true. Prop 215 is an affirmative defense. So in a court of law, what Prop 215 did for America was it gave a medical cannabis patient the right to have a defense. What SB 420 does and why the lobbyists want to destroy it is it gives a group of patients the right to cultivate cannabis for each other. Right. Big business wants to tear apart SB 420 and say you can only grow for yourself or a big company. You can't have a group of patients growing together. And the way that affects us economically is huge because it takes a lot of money to grow cannabis. And if patients can come together and work communally, we can grow safe, good medicine together.
There's not enough land to go around to grow.
Exactly. The ability to grow depends upon the safety of the grow.
And we live in an urban environment anyway, and I don't know why they prohibit outdoor growing in San Francisco when indoor growing is more likely to catch fire. So.
I know. We'd like to see more rooftop gardens in San Francisco.
how do
That's
we-
one thing Dr. Aldrich and Michelle Aldrich used to always say is we want more rooftop gardens in San Francisco, and they've been saying it since 1970, and I will chime in with them in 2015. We need more rooftop gardens.
Yes, I really
food,
believe that
too.
we need to grow outdoors. Just outdoor pot is better, is superior. It's healthier.
Well, there's also an environmental issue, and especially going on with what we just heard from our governor today, that we have a mandatory restrictions on water because we're in a drought. Outdoor growing with runoff water and being able to do this in a kinder way to the earth is essential at this point.
It would stop global warming. Cannabis gives off the most oxygen of any plant known, and if we copiously grew cannabis in California, it would grow even in the drought. It's drought tolerant. If you grow drought tolerant strains, you don't need it. Gets the water from the air. So that really shoots every argument against hemp and cannabis out of the water. As far as I'm concerned, I'm tired of it.
Clever pun.
Yeah. We need more cannabis growing, not less of it, outdoors. And San Francisco is
Environmentally friendly as
Yes,
well. You know,
yes.
we need to make sure that the growers of California have everything accessible to get good, clean water and use it efficiently for their gardens, because, you know, now they're asking the golf courses not to water. So, you know, things are really getting tight if they're saying don't water the golf courses
Oh, I
of
can't
California.
Believe, yeah, that just it's not doesn't make me very happy to know they're watering golf. I know they are, but so the show's about to end now. We've got 30 seconds left. I'd like to urge you to adopt a shelter pet. And you can follow Axis of Love at Twitter, on Twitter, with the little A with the circle around it, Axis of Love SF, or Denise Dory, my Twitter handle's right up there, Shona G. And we're of Axis of Love. Give us a follow and we'll follow you back. And also, Let's Talk Sports is coming up next. And thanks for watching. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. I had to take my candy out of my mouth for a second there. I'm like, oh my God, I'm sounding like I've got marbles in my mouth because I've got this.